Brenner Mills, Minnesota Vikings. Just want to win one before I die.
Dalton Zongrecker, Dallas Cowboys. Just trying to earn a little respect.
Lane Cooner, the conductor of the Baker train.
What is up? We got some hot takes for y'all today. We're going to be talking NFL hot takes. We got your boy Bryn. We got Spoon on the mic. We're going to be talking our top three, not favorites, but some thoughts on top three for MVP, for a Super Bowl champ, and for first coach to get fired in the 2025 NFL season. So all of that coming at you right here on this episode of the Wide Eye Sports Podcast. Before we get started, we ask you like, we ask you subscribe, get the noti bell on, all that good stuff. We really appreciate you. But let's start with Super Bowl. Okay? We're going to start with Super Bowl. I did a team that should win, a team that needs to win, and a team that I want to win. So let's start with the team I want to win. Obviously, the
Minnesota Vikings.
There's no other way to put it. I feel like this roster is a top three roster in the NFL. The only question mark we have is quarterback, and personally, not a question mark. This dude has winning DNA. He is just a winner. JJ McCarthy, I don't know if he'll win a Super Bowl in his first season, but I feel like this guy can win a Super Bowl at some point in the next 15 to whatever years. So that's the team I want to win. We won't spend a lot of time there. That's the team I want to win.
Can I guess your team that needs to win?
Yeah.
The Buffalo Bills.
It is the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, I think they are at a point right now. They need to win a Super Bowl. Josh Allen, for his legacy conversation, needs to win a Super Bowl. He's got the MVP now. He's got the regular season success. He has not made it past the Chiefs. If he continues to go down this road, he will just forever be the guy that couldn't beat Patrick Mahomes, right? He'll forever be a Phillip Rivers. He'll forever be that guy who just, he was great, but he couldn't get over the cliff. Like he was an all-time great, but he just didn't have the winning DNA to win in the postseason because they've had really good teams. He's had top 5 defenses in and year out, and he's had number 1 receivers. It's not like he's ever went into a season as of recent. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. Other than going into last season as of recent, he didn't have a season before that where you're like, he just doesn't have the talent around him to really win. Now, last season we did say that. We were all proved wrong. Guys stepped up. Defense played amazing. We were all wrong, right? They still have a good team. So because of that, you have to win a Super Bowl. Like, you can't be an MVP caliber player on a good team not winning a Super Bowl. Like, it just, for legacy purposes, that doesn't work out. So Buffalo Bills are my team that need to win a Super Bowl. And my team that should win the Super Bowl, Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens should win the Super Bowl.
With the choke artist that is Lamar?
Hey, on paper, this team is a team that should win the Super Bowl. They have receivers, they have running backs, they have the quarterback. And you could flip flop these teams, right? It could be either way. Could. Either way, I'm not mad about that. But I feel like the Ravens defense, top 3 in the league. Ravens offense, top 3 in the league. The Tucker situation now changes their special teams a little bit, but unfortunately, he's been released due to some complications with his personal life that we won't touch on because, that's not our thing. But I believe the Ravens are the team that should win the Super Bowl. The Bills are the team that need to win the Super Bowl, and the Minnesota Vikings are my team that I want to win the Super Bowl. Spoon?
Okay. So I did mine a little different. I just got 2. I went AFC, NFC.
All right, cool.
I did not want to go with a division winner from last year. I wanted to go with 2 teams that I think could make the jump and 100% could be in the Super Bowl this year.
Okay.
It's supposed to be a hot take video.
Hot take. I like it.
My hot takes.
I like hot takes.
My NFC favorites that personally I think they're better than 2 of the other division champs from last year. Give me the Washington Commanders to make the Super Bowl. Give me the Commanders. And you know what? I know that we're going to talk about it later, but I wouldn't be shocked if Jaden Daniels was in the running for MVP. Wouldn't be
Spoiler
shocked.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler
Um,
alert. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's not my.
Okay.
He's not my MVP.
Spoiler alert for me. But yeah, man, this Commanders team, I just think that they're with Dan Quinn. I was a little iffy on him. He's a big defensive guy. Their defense showed that they're pretty bad. They are pretty bad.
Yeah.
They needed some help. I think that they will take a step forward this year. I think that offense is going to remain as one of the top offenses in the NFL. So yeah, give me the Commanders to make a run. Jaden Daniels is not going to have a sophomore slump. You heard it here. He will
not going to have a sophomore slump. Not going to
have a sophomore slump. He is going to come out and just pick up where he left off. So
not going to have a sophomore slump. That is insane. That's insane.
That is my NFC favorite. That is
a hot
take favorite.
I love Jaden. We'll get more into that here in just a minute when we touch on that.
My AFC team is a team that I think is better than at least one of the other division winners in the NFL or in the AFC.
Yeah.
And that is, give me the Denver Broncos.
Wow.
Give them to me. So,
all right.
So here's my thing. That I know. That defense is top tier, top 5 in the NFL, in my opinion. I think Bo Nix now has a year under his belt. I think he sees how the NFL is played. I think he's going to come out next year. I'm taking 2 sophomore quarterbacks in my Super Bowl.
FanDuel has the Broncos at plus 4,800 to win the Super Bowl. So jump on that.
Really crazy. But yeah, man, I really like the Broncos as a whole, as a team whole. I think that their offense will probably take a step forward. I'm excited. That's my hot take. Those are my my hot takes.
Yeah, no, I could totally get behind that. I love it. Do you want to talk MVPs or fired coaches first?
Let's finish with fired coaches.
Finish with fired coaches? Okay, let's talk MVPs. So should win the MVP. I did it the same way as I did for the Super Bowl. I
feel like we're gonna have the same one.
Should, needs, and then the guy I want to win MVP. Should win MVP. Lamar Jackson. Plain and simple.
Okay. Never mind.
He's in my opinion the most dynamic quarterback in the game today. Yes, I understand Josh Allen just won the MVP. I think Lamar Jackson is the most dynamic quarterback in the NFL. I feel like he throws as well as just about. He's a top 10 true passer, and he's the best runner. So say what you want, talent, otherwise choke artist, whatever you want. If I'm drafting a NFL team for one season, Lamar Jackson is going 101 for me. So that's just how I feel. Want to win a Super Bowl? Actually, we'll go
MVP.
We'll go needs. We'll go needs to win an MVP. We'll go needs. Joe Burrow. This man needs for his legacy to win an MVP, right? You have Josh Allen, you have Patrick Mahomes, and then the third guy in that conversation is either Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. And Lamar Jackson, he's got MVPs, right? Josh Allen, MVP. Mahomes, MVPs. If you're Joe Burrow, you are rapidly approaching being massively overrated he was the LSU guy, and no, he can't stay healthy, but look at what he did in this losing season, and look, if he had a good team, look what he would be that guy, right? He's the guy of excuses for why they don't ever truly succeed or why he doesn't have those personal accolades. So I think for his legacy, Joe Burrow is the guy that most needs to win the MVP. He's been our MVP favorite for the past 2 years going into the season.
I'm pretty positive Josh Allen was my favorite last year.
Oh, I thought.
But the year before was Joe Burrow
for sure. My MVP.
I know for a fact 2 years ago, me and you both had Joe Burrow.
Yeah. And I know I took him this last year. I thought you did as well, but I thought Riley took Josh Allen, but maybe you both.
Maybe I did take Burrow, and then I switched it to Allen. Like
not super important either way. I think he's the guy who most needs to win an MVP right now. And my hot take MVP favorite, the guy that I would put money on if I was betting to win, who will win the MVP. This is coming a big shock to you. CJ Stroud.
I don't hate it because I thought of him. I think I had him as my 4th or 5th guy.
I wanted a guy that wasn't a top 5 MVP favorite, a guy that I could realistically see popping off for 5,000 yards. And let's be real, that wide receiver room is crazy. That wide
Yeah.
receiver room is so deep, so talented. Joe Mixon takes so much pressure off him in the run game. They play in an easy division. Like, I really like the possibility of CJ Stroud. Them having 12 wins and CJ Stroud winning an MVP. Total possibility to me. 13 wins and having an MVP. Total possibility to me. And I would really like to see it because I like CJ Stroud. I'm not a huge Ohio State quarterbacks fan, and he has proven me wrong. And I feel like the Ohio State doesn't do a good job of getting quarterbacks ready for the NFL. And CJ Stroud got himself ready for the NFL. And I think that is so impressive. I love his work ethic. I love everything about him. And for those of you who are like, well, Ohio State has a quarterback draft. Yeah, Justin Fields. That's the second best Ohio State quarterback in the NFL, and I think he's not an NFL quarterback. Will Howard, completely unprepared for the NFL. You can go back and look time after time. Quarterbacks that come out of Ohio State are not prepared to play at the NFL level because they have the best players all around them, and they just coast through. And CJ Stroud was, in my opinion, I thought that the hard work and work ethic he showed was so insane that I thought there was no way he'd fail at the NFL level. I told Riley, my little brother, guy who's been on the show before, for those of you watching for the first time, I told him that they should trade Justin Fields a season earlier and trade up and get CJ Stroud. And he told me I was crazy. I mean, it worked out because they got Caleb, but at the same time, you could have gotten a first for Justin Fields at the time, and you could have CJ Stroud, who, man to man, I'm taking CJ Stroud over Caleb Williams all day right now. Now that may change in the next 3 or 4 years.
It might change.
But right now, no question about it, I'm taking CJ Stroud. So I'll let you take MVPs.
Okay, so my favorites this year is going to be Joe Burrow.
Okay.
By far, I think that it is. I mean, he led the league in passing. I don't see him not leading the league in passing again. I do feel like we're starting to see the NFL kind of do somewhat what the NBA does a little bit when it comes to MVPs. It's like, hey, who's the, you know what I'm saying? Like, who's the favorite?
In the NBA, like, they got good for a minute with the Westbrook thing, right? Like, they gave it to Westbrook because you average a triple-double, and they were like, it's not just about wins, and now they're right back in the same situation. It's just about wins. And the NFL kind of did, in my opinion, a good job last year giving it to Josh Allen. Sorry.
I do think they could have gave it to Lamar Jackson because I do think he probably. I mean, if you look at some of the stats, he had better stats.
Both deserved the MVP last year. I wouldn't have been mad if they did co-MVPs last year.
But it's so my thing with that is that, like, for instance, this year the NBA was basically like, oh yeah, it's Shea's turn, and all the hype's on Shea. Like, everybody thought that Shea was going to be the one. Now I think it's.
Oh, speaking of, did you see that game last night?
I did. It was really good.
Oh my god!
But I think that now, like, all the attention is going to be towards Joe Burrow winning it. That's going to be all the hype, and I think the hype is going to kind of help him win the MVP this year, as long as
he's got that aura factor, dude.
As long as the stats are there to back him up, then he's going to be just fine, and he should by far be the favorite. My next guy that I would not be super surprised if he were to win is, I mean, obviously we've seen that the NFL likes Lamar Jackson. So why not take Lamar Jackson 2.0 and pick Jaden Daniels as your MVP?
Yeah, man. I love Jaden, dude.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
That
Debo to that offense. Ooh.
Yeah. That's my guy that, like, hey, like, wouldn't be surprised. I think he should be a favorite. I think going into next season, he should already be like a top 5 favorite. Like, probably
he is
at
top 5. So the current top 5 is Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels.
Okay, perfect. Then my last guy is a guy that.
Now here's a guy.
So it's funny to me that you were talking about CJ Stroud, how he has this great receiving core. I'll give you a better receiving.
Go.
And I'll give you listen.
Tracks.
I am coming down the track, so I'm going to tell you why. This guy has been top 3 in passing yards for 2 seasons in a row. And you want to hear the crazy part? He didn't even have his wide receiver 2 last year. He had him for 7 games, and he still was top 3 in passing yards. His wide receiver 2 is coming back this year. And not only that, his wide receiver 2 that what they ended up stepping up to be their 2 is now their wide receiver 4. Yeah. He's got Cade Otton at tight end. I mean, he has all the weapons in the world. I wouldn't be shocked if Baker throws for 5,000 yards next
Say
year.
his name.
Baker freaking Mayfield.
Thank you.
That is my long shot. I don't think it's that
he
far.
is
that
he
much
is
of a long
currently
shot.
one spot ahead of CJ Stroud in the favorites for via Vegas Insider. He is currently 9th most likely to win MVP. CJ Stroud is 10th most
So
likely.
yours was
to win
CJ,
MVP.
mine was Baker. We're both
Yep,
right there
we're
together.
Similar spots.
Similar spots. I mean, both have great wide receiving cores. They can
both have
throw
great
the ball
wide
to
receiving
them.
cores. Both have solid run games. Two really should be really good offenses. Obviously, if you watch the intro, you know Spoon is the conductor of the Baker train.
I mean, man, I haven't mentioned Baker in a while, and I would feel bad if I didn't. And honestly, I thought about it, and
I would feel bad if I didn't mention.
Listen, I was honestly going through the list. I kept looking at it. I'm like, man, like honestly, this could be the year for Baker. Like, what's stopping him? He's literally going to have 5 different weapons that he can throw to. He's got the rookie in Ibuka, who's already the on the depth chart as a wide receiver 3. You got Jalen McMillan as the wide receiver 4, who was making some insane catches last year. Yeah, Mike Evans coming back. Coming back again. He's probably going to have another 1,000-yard receiving year. And then you have Cade Otton, who stepped up big time at tight end. He's going to be able to take a little bit of a back seat and just step up whenever he needs them. Like this, Baker has all the weapons. So many weapons, and I can't wait to watch him just tear it up. And I hope he does. And I hope that by the end of next season, we are talking about 3 MVP candidates, and he's one of them. I really hope so.
All right. Next up, let's talk about first coach fired. So I have one long shot, and I mean a long shot, hot take, world is ending scenario. Okay. I have one intermediate of like, okay, you've had your time, get your shit together. And then I have another one, and I got to pull up his schedule. Hold on. And then I have another one who I think is probably my favorite to be fired first, and I think will probably end up being fired first.
We might have the same one, honestly, that gets fired first.
Could be. So first off, I'll start with the world is ending hot take. No way this dude actually gets fired first, but let me explain. My number one, Todd Bowles. I know, crazy. You just talked about Baker's MVP favorite, and have his coach being the first coach fired would be absolutely insane. But hear me out. Okay. Mike Evans is a little older, right? He gets a little more banged up. Chris Godwin has proven he can't stay healthy, right? So let's say Baker's now starting as 3 and 4 at his 1 and 2. Bucky Irving doesn't explode like we expect him to, which running backs have been known to do. So let's take a look at the schedule. Now Baker's playing without any help, right? So this isn't Baker's fault. This is injuries.
It's never Baker's fault.
It's never Baker's fault. Defense is not good. We've touched on that. Defense is not good. And then you have to play Philadelphia at home. You have to play the Cardinals at home, which could be a tough game. You do get the Jets and the Niners at home, which I think you could win in that scenario. But then you get the Patriots at home, which I think you lose. And then you have 3 division games. You lose Atlanta, you win those 3 games at home. Then you go on the road. You lose to LA in LA. You lose to Buffalo. You lose to the Lions. You lose to the Texans. You probably beat the Dolphins. You might be able to beat the Seahawks, but this is world-ending scenario, so you lose to the Seahawks. And then you lose to the Falcons and the Panthers. Now you're at 10 losses. And let's say they see this coming a little ways away, right? Like you're at 7 losses and you still have to play on the road against the Rams, the Bills, and the Lions, right? Like you see this coming. In that world, I think Todd Bowles gets nixed. I think that world is the world in which they're like, listen, dude, we've given you Baker, we've given you the weapons. Sure, they're hurt right now, but you've proven in other years that you can't take those weapons and win. Like it's time for a fresh start. And they nix him, and he could be first fired. So that's my long shot. That's my probably won't happen ever situation, but Todd Bowles could be on a hot seat pretty quickly if he doesn't win. My middle ground pick is actually the Green Bay Packers.
Matt
LaFleur.
Matt LaFleur? Really?
Yeah, that's my middle ground pick because while I think he is a phenomenal defensive coach, and they've put together a couple good defenses in Green Bay, last season they didn't beat a single winning team, or they didn't beat a single good team. I think they beat one team over 500 last year, if I remember correctly. I can go back and look real quick. Give me 2 seconds. So lost to Philly, lost to Minnesota. They beat the Rams, but the Rams were hurt at the time. Like they didn't have any of their starters on defense. They beat Houston, so there's a good win. Lost to Detroit, and then lost to Detroit, and then lost to Minnesota, then lost to Chicago. So their only good win was against Houston at home, and it was a 2-point victory, and then against a no starters Rams team. They didn't have Puka, they didn't have Cooper Kupp, they didn't have 8 starters on defense. Like, they have no good wins. So if they go into this season, right, they play Vikings, Lions, Bears, obviously, but then they also have to play the Eagles at home. Then they have to play the Commanders at home. And then they have to play the Ravens at home. And then they have to play the Bengals at home. I mean, that is an absolute gauntlet of a schedule right there. I mean, which of those teams do you expect to be under 500?
I couldn't tell
right?
you.
Like,
Yeah.
Eagles over 500, Commanders over 500, Ravens over 500, Bengals over 500. The Panthers, that's probably their only home game. That and the Bears. Those are their 2 home games that you can expect them to win. The other 6 are completely up in the air. Like 50-50. Like they won't be favored in a lot of those games. So there's 6 losses there. Then you have to go on the road against the Cowboys, so we know have a really good home record. Now it is the Packers Cowboys, so we'll see there.
Yeah.
They have to go into Pittsburgh, which we'll see what that defense looks like. They have to go into Denver, which that's going to be a mess. So they have to go into Minnesota, into Detroit. There's 5 games they lose on the road on top of 6 games they lose at home. I mean, that's 10, 11 losses. So you could get into a world in which you're 7 losses deep. You know, you lose to Detroit at home, then you lose to Philly, then you lose to Washington, you drop a game to Denver, you drop the game to the Steelers, and now you're 2-5, and you still have to play the Bengals or the Ravens at home, the Bengals at home, the Vikings at home. You still have to go to Minnesota. You still have to go to Pittsburgh. There's a world. There's a world. And then my most likely coach to get fired, and it won't need a lot of explanation, Kevin Stefanski.
Okay.
If Kevin Stefanski doesn't get together for the Browns, if they don't produce wins, he's going to get fired. He got I believe it was a D or an F on the players report card from last season as far as head coach goes. He was one of the lowest ranked head coaches. I personally like him a lot. He's a great offensive mind. He has not done anything postseason wise and hasn't done a whole lot for the Browns franchise as a whole. And I think they are rapidly approaching the end of his tenure if he does not immediately produce wins. Spoon,
Okay.
I will turn the floor over to you.
Okay. So I didn't really look at schedules a whole lot. I did look at one, and it is my favorite to be. I'm glad that you said Kevin Stefanski because, man, I was struggling. I had 2 coaches that I'm like, man, either one of these dudes could be fired first. You picked one of them, so I'll just go ahead and pick the other one.
Perfect.
But I'm going to actually, I'm going to go ahead and say it first because I think my long shot one is probably kind of surprising to you.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Jonathan Gannon of the Arizona Cardinals. I think he is most likely to be fired first. I'm looking at the schedule. So first of all, the home games, they're not in order. They obviously don't have the schedule.
They're not in order. For clarification, none of the stuff I just said was in order. I was just like hypotheticals. We won't know the schedule for another week and a half, 2 weeks.
But home games: Falcons, Panthers, Jags. 3 teams that we all see on the come up. I wasn't really super impressed with what the Cardinals have done. Those could easily be 3 losses. And then I do think they beat the Tennessee Titans. They play the Packers at home. I think that's an L. And then obviously they play their division, the Rams, Niners, Seahawks. They might pull one away from the Niners, but I don't see them beating the Rams or the Seahawks.
Me either.
And now let's look at their road games. I mean, you got the Texans, the Bucks, the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Rams, and then the Niners, the Seahawks, of course. Now, I didn't mention 2. I did not mention the Colts. That's kind of a toss-up, honestly.
Yeah, I can see.
And then I do think that they beat the Saints. So realistically, I'm looking at their schedule and I see 2 wins for sure, and then maybe 2 teeters.
Yeah.
This is a kind of a tough schedule that they have. I'm not super impressed with it. That's why he is by far my number 1 coach that I think gets fired. This will be his 3rd season. He's gone 12-22 in his last 2 seasons. He definitely needs a step up this season. Otherwise, I think he's gone. And if he comes out and let's say he starts out the season 1-4, 1-5, I think he just goes ahead and gets the boot.
Yeah,
they kick him out. So yeah, that's my one that I think definitely gets fired. Man, there's a couple that I have. I don't know where to place them, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say one that because that's kind of a long shot, man.
go for it. It's a hot take.
It is a hot take.
Give us the hot take.
So this one is probably my longest shot.
Is this the one that you said I would be surprised by?
No, this is not.
Okay.
This is not really the one. This one I don't really think happens, but it could, and that's
this is your version of the Todd Bowles one.
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
I think Zach Taylor with the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, I looked at him. I looked at that.
You did?
If the
Okay.
Bengals
So it's
start
not that
out,
crazy.
2-7 again.
Yeah,
I think he's next.
I think he's gone because honestly, they didn't have a great draft. It wasn't super phenomenal. Like they were kind of in the bottom 10 when it came to draft grades and who they got. I wasn't super impressed. This will be he has a losing record as a head coach, by the way. He's 46-52.
And he was they started 2-5, not 2-7 last year.
Yeah. But if they start out bad, which I don't think the Bengals are going to start out bad, but let's say they do, I think Zach Taylor could definitely get the boot. I don't think it'd come mid-season, though. I think they would give him a chance to finish it out, and then he'd probably get the boot at the end of the season if let's say they miss the playoffs again. Yeah, for sure. He's on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Now, the one that I don't – it's tough. I don't hate this take, though, and it's just because this offseason has not been super impressive, and I know that people were already bringing him up to be fired last year, so I think this would be the year that he goes, and that's Mike Tomlin.
Ooh.
I think this would be the year that he finally gets out. He gets the boot. Obviously, I know for a fact fans are probably getting very eager, very pissed off. The fact that they don't even have a quarterback. Who is their quarterback? That is going to piss. If you want one reason to piss the fans off more, is right now training camps coming. Not training camp, but I mean like
mini camp. Mini camp and OTAs.
Mini camps and stuff like that. Teams are starting to report to that, or players are starting to report that. Sorry. But, I mean, we keep getting closer, and we still don't know who the quarterback is. That is not good. Fans are going to be very pissed off. Fans are going to – and then let's say you start the season off with a losing record. I don't think he is, but, I mean, if he starts out like 2-5 – I mean, there's going to be a lot of hype around him being fired, and I think that he is definitely one. I don't think he gets fired first. He possibly could be if he starts out very bad, but I think with him having a Super Bowl win, they'll probably at least wait till the end of the season and be like, hey, Mike, thank you for your time here. Thanks for the Super Bowl, but we're moving on.
I mean, let's be real. I mean, if you're Tomlin and Rodgers doesn't sign with you guys and you have passed up all these other options and sat around and waited on your hands.
I mean, you could have just re-signed Wilson. I don't think Wilson had I never saw that Wilson wanted out of Pittsburgh, not once.
Yeah,
if they would have Wilson was just upset that the Steelers weren't really making an effort to keep him.
Yeah.
That's what upset him.
They were willing to let him walk away, and that's because I think the Steelers really thought that they would just walk into Aaron Rodgers and him be like, "Oh, thank you so much for signing me." And Rodgers is, I mean, so this is another thing. We did another video where we ranked the Vikings a little lower than I had them, a little higher than Spoon had them. I mean, if you need to see anything, Aaron Rodgers has pretty much said no to the NFL, other than he called up the Vikings and said, "I want to play for you. I'll play for $10 million as long as I can start." And the Vikings were like, yeah, we're good. Thanks. No thanks. Click. Yep. So, I mean, when you have a guy like Aaron Rodgers who's looking at the Steelers roster, who I think is a pretty good roster.
I think it's a pretty good roster, too. I mean,
I'm good unless I can play for this coach on this roster and start. Like, if we could get Rodgers in Minnesota for $10 million a year and he was okay with being a backup, I would pull the trigger so fast your head would spin. But he would never agree to be the backup. He'd have to come to start, and I don't. The coaching staff has decided that they don't want that. They want J.J. McCarthy in there. So But back to the Steelers, I really do think that as a fan that I don't even want Rodgers on my team now as a starter, I'd be okay with a backup at 10 million. But if you're telling me that he's telling Pittsburgh, I want $40 million a year, I want to be the starter, I don't even want that if I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So the fact that you're sitting on your hands waiting for this guy to come, you're basically sitting around just waiting for the girlfriend to call you. Like, I hope she calls back. I really hope she calls. Oh my god!
I mean, you have a dynamic wide receiver duo with DK and George Pickens, dude. That is such a good wide receiver duo.
Yeah. So, if I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I would be very unhappy about the fact that Aaron Rodgers is our option. Very unhappy about the fact that we're playing the damsel in distress, waiting for Aaron Rodgers to come save us. And third, that you didn't go find another option in case he doesn't come around. Those three, I'd be pissed if I was a Steelers fan.
So that's why I personally think, I don't think he's the first one fired. I would be very surprised if he was the first one fired, but I do think that it's possible that he gets fired. I mean, we're talking, it's May 6th. He might not have a job by May 6th next year.
Yeah.
I mean, he might have a job like as a defensive coordinator or something, maybe for another team, but if he even takes that, he might just retire. Considering he's been coaching for so long.
Let's play that game real quick. Mike Tomlin is currently 53 years old, so he's got another 15 years of coaching in him, right? Like he could probably coach for another 15 years.
I mean, who maybe if Arizona fires their coach first,
Cleveland,
and he goes to the rival Cleveland.
Could you imagine him in Cleveland?
That would be crazy,
right? So,
but I wouldn't. But I mean, maybe it pissed him off. Maybe the Steelers firing him pisses him off enough that he's like, you know what? Screw you. I'm going to jump over to Cleveland. We're going to beat your ass every year.
Exactly. The Rex Ryan move of jumping from the Bills jumping from the Jets to the Bills. I mean, who knows? It's going to be a lot. I do think that's a very realistic possibility. I don't think you're out of line at all for throwing that one out there.
Okay.
Maybe
my takes weren't as hot as I thought they were, but
I mean, no, not that they're not hot takes. It's just I
haven't heard anybody talk about Zach Taylor being fired. So I'm
that was a good one. I thought that was a good hot take too. I have one more super hot take for you that isn't, I guess, not super hot take, but something that I think is going to happen that I don't think a lot of people are even considering or talking about. The NFL changed some of the rules last year where it made Sam Darnold ineligible for comeback player of the year. Mid-season, they changed it. They said they would still accept votes for Sam, but that he was ineligible to win the award.
Right, which is crazy.
I think he absolutely deserved to win comeback player of the year last year. I think J.J. McCarthy wins comeback player of the year this year, and I don't think it's close. I think you have a player who is going to step into a system and get carried by an amazing roster, and I think he'll win comeback player of the year.
He just doesn't have anything to come back from. He doesn't have any stats that he came back from. He's
eligible. He got injured last season. He was out all season with an injury, so he's coming back from an injury. He is eligible, and he will win comeback player of the year.
They don't know how he was pre-injury. So I don't know. That is a very hot take. I don't think that happens.
That's what I said. I said it was a hot take.
It's a very hot take. I said
it was a hot take, and it's going to happen. Quote me. It's going to happen. All right. If you guys have any hot takes, leave them in the comments. If you thought any of Spoon's hot takes were garbage, tell them in the comments. If you thought mine, keep it to yourself. We'll see y'all next time.
Yep.